Okay, everybody, welcome back to the Weiner Wellness Virtual Summit. And we're so excited to have Kim Furhman back, naturopathic doctor, amazing practitioner, just an incredible wife, mother, and she loves the Lord. So I'm so glad to have her. She's also one of my greatest friends in the whole world, and I love her to pieces myself. But Kim, we're really excited that you're here. And this is going to be another incredible talk. Yours was probably one of the most popular last time. Just so you know, people loved it. And today we're going to be talking about divine design, just bringing, health back home. So I'm just going to let you go to the old school homemade health and take it away, Kim. Thanks for being here.
Thank you. Okay, so homemade health. Your kitchen into your pharmacy and your home to your hospital, and you be the doctor, the counselor, and the friend. There's something about right now, especially in history, where we need to be ready. We don't really have time to learn a whole lot, but if you're a learner, you need to get on it. So one of the things I like to say is that we're fearfully and wonderfully made. The Bible says that. And God made us, and he made the world and everything in it. And so when we use the things that he made to sustain us and heal us, they actually work because our body can read the information. Another thing that we always say in our practice is that your health is your responsibility. It's your business. And so sometimes I think it's easy for us to just want to take a pill, even a supplement, to just fix the problem instead of dealing with the root issue. And we're going to talk more about that later. So we need to be learners. And there's no time like the present for natural health professionals to be teachers, which is what we are. And God has positioned us strategically right now to engage in an amazing battle, offer strength, guidance, and help to people who are in desperate need of it. You can go to the next one. Okay, so I grew up like normal, and I had normal parents and normal upbringing, went to the dentist every 6 months and went and got my shots on time and went and got antibiotics if I had green snot and all that. So when I had started having children, I just sort of went right into that thing. Where if I got running to the hospital, running to the doctor, there's little or no parental personal control when you do that. There was no control when I had my babies in the hospital. There was no real parental control when I took my kids there. I was there for them to do for me and tell me what needed to be done. So I'm just going to go and trust what they say. I'm going to receive a standard protocol because this is the way they do it. And they're responsible, and much of what they do is litigation and policy driven to kind of cover their tail. When you're at home, you have to pray with help, wisdom, and prayer, and you're the one in charge. And so something that I say to people, because I've homeschooled my whole life, and I've got a lot of friends that are texting my head off about how do you homeschool. There's two ways to homeschool. You can just stay home from school and not really do any school, or you can stay home and actually homeschool. And so if you just stay home from the hospital and drink Coke and take aspirin, that's not doing home health care. And so you need supplies on hand, and you need to be educated to know how to use them. And the work at home is driven by the individual patient needs. It's also driven by what the body's trying to tell you. So we're responsible to make this a real thing to do, which means like going back to the home health, homeschool thing, that you actually do home health care. You are a doctor in your house. Next. Okay, so here's some famous quotes and not so famous quotes. The first one everybody knows, I bet, let food be thy medicine and medicine be thy food. My Hippocrates said that a long time ago. Medical, or well, not medical, my practice office is in our farm store. And we have a Beyond Organic farm in Virginia. And we have pastured organic chicken and beef and raw A2A2 grass-fed milk and kefir and yogurt and butter and cream. We have organic vegetables. So I tell my people when they come sit down, you're sitting in the middle of the medicine on all these fridges and freezers and counters. And over there on that shelf is a whole bunch of supplements I love that I call tow trucks to pull you out of the ditch if you get in it health-wise. Something that we say in our family is if your body isn't healthy, where are you supposed to live? I don't know, that's not that profound, but where are you supposed to live if your body's not healthy? If you destroy your body, where are you supposed to live? There's nowhere else to go. And so we always remind our kids that, when they're asking for a treat or when they're asking to go through a drive-through or something like that, which we never do. But anyway, we just ask them that question. Do the people who make this food that they call food, Are they doing it for you? Or are they doing it for them? Are they doing it for God? Or are they doing it for them? And so if the answers are wrong, we don't go get that food. There's another cool quote that I always give people in my classes and a lot of times my clients, just to help people think outside the box. In the West, we have built a wonderful pleasure ship with every conceivable convenience and comfort. One thing it lacks, a compass. We have no idea where we're going. I always ask people who said that, nobody has ever known that quote. It's really cool. Go to the next one. Next slide. It was Albert Einstein that said that. And I always wonder, whenever I think of that quote, what in the world would he think of cell phones and Zoom meetings and McFranken weirdo food that you go through drive-thrus and get and squirt red stuff all over and drink big gulps of? I don't even know what he'd think of it all. So technology and industrial life, in my opinion, is the cytokine storm in our world today, where we, with our human wisdom, human knowledge, human foolishness, whatever you want to call it, we have made this like Tower of Babel of technology. And we make it bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And we get farther and farther away from the way God designed us to function and be. So I always say, question industry, question technology, resist it. Don't let it just come barreling through your life, because just because you can do something doesn't mean you should do something. Whether it's in our health or with our medical or with our food or with ourselves or with others. Next. Okay, so we always talk too about first things first being the firm foundation. So I teach another class, it's like a day-long thing, Firm Foundations in Health. A lot of people teach that class, all natural health that's worth anything that teaches natural health, that's where they're gonna start. And when I was getting my ND, it was cool because one of the teachers always would say, go back to page 32 or whatever it was. Page 32 in the first meal was these foundations. You always start with the foundations. Tracy and I have talked about before, if you can get people to address their foundations, if you can get them to eat food the way God made, as clean as possible, as close to the way he made it as possible, real, clean, organic, whole, non-GMO, sprouted, fermented, homemade food, real food, your body will understand what it is. It's not some weird Franken food made in a laboratory. It's real stuff that's made out of the same stuff you're made out of. So when your body receives it, it's not a whole lot of work to untangle it and metabolize it and use it. Drink clean water, breathe, have God-centered emotions and relationships, move, sleep, and make sure your elimination pathways are working. So when I think about those things, I think about, especially going back to the 2 reasons we have disease are deficiency and toxicity. So those things on the last slide all deal with deficiency and toxicity. So does this here. This is talking about life energy, usable energy, cash in your pocket. It's cash in your pocket available because you make good choices and you have good habits. So all the things on the previous slide that we're talking about, if you do those well, if you do the right thing, if you drink the right kind and the right amount of water, if you breathe, if you have God-centered emotions and relationships, if you move, like I don't care, walk, run, ride a bike, jump up and down on a trampoline, if you're getting good quality sleep, if you're taking care that your bowls are all open, all those things, you can go to the next one, sorry, I'm back and forth, then you are filling your pocket with money. So some of my clients will text me a picture of their breakfast and they'll say, how much do you think that's worth? I'm like, oh, that's a $1,500 breakfast. Cash in your pocket. Where if you're eating a drive-through biscuit and gravy and a coffee at McDonald's, I'll just say McDonald's, I don't care if they sue me, McDonald's, that is running a credit card on your body. There's only so much time. People say, oh, I eat junk all the time, it doesn't bother me. Well, there's only so much that you can run that credit card before your body is gonna like go broke. And so reserve energy is your life source. It's in your bones and it's the reserves for your life. When you dip into that, that's when you start getting sick. So you're running your card, you're running your card, you're running your card, and now you're dipping into your reserve energy. That's why a lot of people, even kids, are living with eczema, they're living with headaches, they're living with stomach issues, they're living with constipation because they're running that card all the time. So when you take all the reserve energy, you die. And I've watched my mom pass away. I've watched my grandfather pass away, like sat by their bed when they passed away. And you watch their life leave. And it's like all that energy is gone. Just like if you pick a flower and you put it out in the sun, you'll watch it just wither and go until there's no life whatsoever left in it. So what we've done at our house is we teach our family to take care of themselves. It's their responsibility to take care of themselves. We make it our family culture to do things that build our energy, and we stuff our pockets full of cash. We make it fun, like, oh man, look at, you got $500 with that Kefir smoothie, you know? Eventually, if you're chronically ill, you're gonna pay off your debt, and you're gonna have extra to spend when you use cash in your pocket all the time with those good choices. So we need to live well so we can have more to give. I always tell people too, once you've paid off your health debt and you keep on living in cash world, now you're gonna start building and accruing health wealth. Does that make sense? Health wealth. So now you're like, got health wealth to spend. You could go on a mission trip. You could start a business. You could teach a little co-op of kids because you have energy to do stuff like that, where now it's just like, really, I have to do that laundry? Okay, next. Next slide. Okay, go to the next one. Health coding at home. This is my husband's military, so he started this cool thing a long time ago. We put this sign up on the wall. We made this sign with all these code yellow, orange, red, and we put this exact words were on the door of our kitchen so the kids would just learn it. Code yellow, that is like a warning light that we're going out. We're going to the church potluck, or we're going to a kid's birthday party, or we're going out to dinner with friends, or whatever. And we're not the people that like bring our salad in a brown bag to these things, unless somebody's really sick and wants to be like that. Normally we'll go eat stuff. I'll bring something good in and contribute it, you know, so that people aren't pigging out on junk, or I'll feed them. Like here it says, we eat healthy at home first so that we don't show up starving to the junk food land. And we always take probiotics and food enzymes before we go do something like this. I carry them around in my purse so that everybody can just fire one down before we get to a place. Code orange is when you have symptoms. They're starting to show up. You assess them, you get right on it, and you go after remedies. Natural remedies, people are like, well, I took some echinacea yesterday and I still feel like crud, so I'm gonna do like Alka-Seltzer cold medicine now because that's all that ever works. So taking echinacea once yesterday morning isn't what you need. So there's loading doses of supplements that you can take. There's loading doses of tea. There's loading doses of better food. So I tell people, if your body is starting to slide and you're getting like more and more increasingly severe symptoms, stop. Just eat like a baby, eat only nourishing food. You can go to a liquid diet, whatever, but often you're going to do like an herbal thing every 15 minutes. You're going to be loading different things every 15 minutes. And this is where you've got to have your apothecary set up at home because you're the doctor. Okay, go to the next one. The next one is code red. So the first picture is mom panicking because kid's got a fever and what am I going to do? The second picture is mom is just calm. Got the little kid with his little towel on his head to help his headache. Got the little kid some warm something to drink. Got the little kid all cozy in his bed. Look at the mom is a little bit happier. They're weird cartoons, but whatever. Be the purple dress mom, not the red shirt mom, because red shirt mom is going to make the kid sicker because she's in a panic and flap too, and she needs to run right to the doctor and find out what she needs to do for the sick kid and get them into something that they don't really need. At our house, we try to not panic, go to the second mode, and we try to bring peace into the situation. We just assess the symptoms real calmly, talk through what's going on, what might contribute to the symptoms. So my first questions are, have you pooped today? Did you poop yesterday? Are you drinking enough water? What have you been eating? Those are my first always questions. Then we also turn into diet Nazis. I don't care if it's your birthday. We have put the birthday cake with plastic wrap in the refrigerator. And I'm talking paleo, sugar-free, amazing, perfectly good, organic, homemade birthday cake. We don't eat like something from Kroger's, but we made cake and we wrapped it up and put it in the fridge and said, we'll eat it when you feel better, because on the birthday, the kid was fever and thrown up. So we don't do any kind of anything if we feel bad. And usually they go to bed and they're doing a full protocol with a set timer. And usually they're doing a homemade IV, which is an enema. So we can go to the next one. I talked about those in the last talk, so I'm not going to do a whole bunch on enemas this time. But here's the method, because a lot of people send an email things, and so I wanted to have this on here. Let me see what we're doing for time. There's a picture a few slides down, if you just remember, we're talking about this now, of a possible enema kit you can get. It's just like a bulb syringe, that's for babies. You could also just get a Fleet bottle, or you can actually go big and go home and get like the bucket that you can clean out really well. I love these things. And this is so old school. Always when there was a little doctor with a black bag, he always had an enema in there. That was always a first defense. He would have had herbs. He would have had things in little bags and little packets and little papers in his bag that he would have put in an enema and administered to a patient, a really sick patient who's throwing up and nauseous and headache and migraine and whatever's wrong. They can't really eat. And then you're giving them some supplements and you're giving a whole bunch of stuff. And now their body has to work on that and break it down through the digestive tract. Well, the cool thing about doing an enema, the way God made our bodies, is that you have 3 great big blood vessels. They're not veins, they're not arteries, they're vessels that are right at your rectal opening. It's called your rectal plexus of blood vessels. They are attached to everywhere in your body. They attach everywhere. So if you put something in, there's one method called the board method, and you can actually like put some kind of a board on a chair and like lean up it so that your body is slanted. You can do that. Or you can just like elevate your hips with pillows or something once you put the stuff in, that's easier. But you're trying to get your body tilted if possible so that the stuff is going in there. Now, what can you put in there? You can put garlic. There's something on here that talks about it, maybe. You can put supplements. I have some people put GI Complete in there from Nutritional Frontiers that have major issues, or they were missionaries and their digestive tract is just trashed. And so they take GI Complete here and then they put it up there and they hold it. And it actually heals that whole bottom. And it heals your colon. It just sends medicine and good stuff all to everywhere in your body. So some people are like, why are you telling me to take an enema? I've got a UTI. It has nothing to do with enemas. I'm not constipated. And I'm like, it's not about being constipated. It's about holding medicinal quality herbs right in your bloodstream and just sending it without having to go through your digestive tract, without having to go through the natural processes, just giving your body something. Kind of like if you go to the doctor, go to the hospital, and they give you an IV of fluid, usually people feel better right away. That's why, because it just goes straight into their bloodstream. Go to the next one. And so common concerns and what to always have on hand. So people, everybody knows the stuff you get at home, like sore throats and allergies and fevers and headaches and female issues and cramps and fatigue and stomach upset. There's pretty easy things that we know what to do with, and people usually have some stuff on hand for that. So I always tell people, like, just be learners and be learning more. There's lots of really cool free ways to learn about all this stuff. Really cool blogs, really cool websites, really cool magazines. Tracy and them make really good little magazines that you can get with your supplements and stuff like that. And you can learn how to use the products so that you have them on hand. I tell people you don't want to really call me on Saturday with a flaming UTI and nothing on the shelf. So these are some things that we always have on hand. And then there's another list on the next page. I wasn't going to read through them. That's why I put it on here so people could like pause it and write it down. So you can go to the next one. So here's more supplies. These are things that I love. Essential oils we use all the time. I don't care really about where you get them. I'm not like a big person doing that, but I do have some Young Living. I do have some doTERRA, and I do have some Revive. Sometimes I get them at the health food store. There's another lady from Texas somewhere that does them herself, so I get them from her. Love them. I like to put them in a spray bottle and spray them in the shower with hot water when somebody can't breathe, so they can go in there and the whole shower is like great big, like eucalyptus oil beauty that they just can go in. Or somebody's really stressed out, had a really hard day, you can give them a massage and you can give them something to drink and spray lavender oil and send them in the shower and just tell them to relax and dry brush and go take a shower. Just helps them relax. If you have headaches, you can do the same thing with peppermint and wintergreen oil. That combination is nature's aspirin. Brain formula is a formula I get from Dr. Schultz. I'm not sure what other places you can get it from, but that's a potent thing that I've used for concussions and things like that. It's amazing. Even one of my kids almost drowned. We pulled him out of the water. He'd been under the water for 4 whole minutes, and we just started putting brain formula in him, and his oxygen numbers went up like really fast. Digestive aids are good, teas and even essential oil that you put on your tummy, like peppermint or Digest or something like that. Probiotics. I always tell people to have liquid nutrition on hand so that if somebody does get sick, you can just make them a shaper cup of something that's not gross, like the Pro Colors aren't gross. Green drinks in general and superfood powders, with like collagen and good things in them, just to make food easy. Nutrition needs to be easy when someone's sick, so that it's like baby food. I tell people, like, especially like the sicker people are, I'm like, you need to like go back to being an infant. Give yourself long enough to turn into a grown-up again. Like, you need to rebuild your body that much if people are really, really sick. If people are a little bit sick, like my kids or something, then we'll just like back them down and baby them and bring them trays of stuff and bring them mugs of stuff and stand there and help them drink it and read them a book. Activated charcoal, something you want to have. I didn't put it on here, but clay, bentonite clay is awesome. And herbs, I always tell people learn about them and have them on hand. I wrote a book that I give my clients. It's got alphabetical herbs in the back, and traditionally all the ways they're used, there's like 150 herbs in that little book. CBD, love it. And green food powder, I already said that, so it must be really important. We go to the next one. Okay, we talked about this one last time too, so we won't spend a lot of time, but plantain leaves, these are things that are growing outside. So you can, we need to learn this stuff, because even with COVID and whatever, messing up all the shipping and all the, how fast do I get stuff? I used to get stuff in 2 or 3 days, and now it's taking sometimes a week to get stuff. That's not fast enough if someone's really sick. We need to know what to do with what's growing in the yard too. And that's where like the garlic homemade IV would come in. That's where having the stuff on hand beforehand always helps, like the DMG and all the things and the Immunomax and all that. So this leaf is in the picture, and you can pick the leaves, wipe it on your pants, chew it up and put it on a bite. You can put it on a sting, you can put it on poison ivy. You can also make it into something that you would put in your rectum if you have really bad hemorrhoids. You can make it into a sitz bath if you have really bad hemorrhoids, because it's astringent and it'll help pull all that tissue and tonify it. And we can go to the next one. You can even eat it. And then this one's comfrey. I've got this planted on my east side of my house. It likes sun in the morning, but it doesn't like real hot, so don't put it on the west side. That plantain is just going to grow anywhere. Like, go out in your yard and you'll find it. Comfrey is something you can buy seeds and plant it. It's really a pretty plant. It's like a big mound of these pretty leaves. And then once a year, it's a little sprouty purple flower. It's really, really pretty, and it likes the east side. So I put about 6 plants over there. So after it's gotten its flowers, I usually go pick the leaves. I pick nice tender ones like the ones pictured, and you can freeze them in packets. So I wrap them in, I just put them in paper towels, and then I put the whole pack of like loads and loads of paper towels in a bag in the freezer. And I do that every year, so that if somebody twists their ankle or something when I don't have it growing, like in the winter, because it'll melt in the winter like a lot of the plants do, you can crush it in heat, like crush it and pour boiling water on it and then wrap the leaf. It's really cool. It's actually a little bit sticky, and it goes and wraps like a bandage right around your body part, like right around your wrist you strained, or right around your ankle that you sprained. And it's amazing. One time my husband got thrown off a horse, and he thought he broke his ribs. So he took and got him an x-ray at the chiropractor, and he hadn't, but he had really bad bruising and really bad strains and sprains and all kinds of things. And he had to get way adjusted, lots and lots. But I kept coming home and making this. I would pick the fresh leaves and I would pour boiling water on them so they were warm and open, like the properties were coming out now because the cells had been opened with the hot water. And I wrapped his sides with leaves and leaves and leaves. So his whole, he like was wrapped, you know, like he was dinner. And then I wrapped him with saran wrap and put a heating pad on him and put him in a recliner. And he was like, ah. And it's a bone knitting herb. So it actually goes in and it feeds your bones through your skin. It's a tissue healer. It is a soother. So this is a really cool thing to know about. It's a really good thing. It's a prime ingredient in salves, like a healing salve or a skin salve. If you've got these two things growing, and you get a little packet of calendula seeds, I think that's in the written down. You can just dump calendula seeds wherever, and they'll just keep growing all the time, all the time, all the time. You can pick all the little yellow flowers. You can pick these leaves, you can pick plantain and dry it all on a big tray. And it's super duper easy to make it into salve. It is not hard. This stuff is not hard. And it doesn't even really need rocket science teaching. It's just common sense and fun. So with everybody kind of shifting to homeschool and shifting to home life, make this part of your family culture. Wasn't mine growing up. I had to be, it's like I turned into this Renaissance girl. You know, the next one. Okay, so castor oil packs, excuse me. This is an antitoxin, anti-pain, and suffering wrap. So I take a baby blanket, like a receiving blanket, and I fold it to the size I want to address. So if somebody's hurt their neck, or if somebody's hurt their spine, or if somebody's hurt their lower back, or if your kidneys or your liver or something is giving you trouble, even if you're having a gallbladder attack, this is amazing. I take a blanket, I fold it up, I put it in a 9 by 13 pan. I saturate it with the castor oil. It's not like dripping wet, but it's saturated. So it's nicely saturated with this sticky stuff. Then I place a little pack on the offending spot. And I usually use like a Kroger bag or something on top of the bag so I don't ruin sheets and clothes and everything. And then wear an old something, who cares, on top of that, and use a heating pad or a hot water bottle. Ooh, and it's so nice. I have clients who are chiropractors. Chiropractor came in here with a bulging disc and herniated disc, all kinds of wrong stuff going on in his back. And when I told him to do this to his back, he was like, no, I'm not doing that. Who would ever do that? Why would you put heat on? Oh no, you're supposed to use ice. I was like, I knew you were going to say that, but just listen to me. We're not trying to reduce the inflammation and stuff with ice. We're trying to reduce the inflammation by pulling the toxins out. We're trying to reduce the inflammation by encouraging and stimulating circulation. You want it to heal. You want that little disc and stuff to go back in, and the toxins that are pushing it out and bulging it, you want it to come out and relax and get more circulation so that thing can relax and go back in. Yes, he was doing perfect food. Yes, he did a big comprehensive detox. He did all these other things, but this was his thing that he did. And he said he would wear it around work. He had his wife wrap it around him with saran wrap and he would just wear the thing all day and then throw it away and make another one and do it the next day. And he had a heating pad plugged in his desk at work and he just put it on his back. Ooh, when he was done cracking everybody's backs, he would just relax with that on his back at the end of the day. So I love this. My kids know how to do this for themselves. And one more little thing about this is you can put the old pack in a baggie in the refrigerator and label it, and you can use it up to 5 times before you chuck it, if you're using it for about 30 minutes at a time, because it will get toxins on it and you want to just throw it away after about 4 or 5 times. Next. Okay, so that's a little picture of a bulb syringe. I have people that have babies. I had babies that I use something like this on, and you can fill it up with whatever you want and do that. So I have put all these things that are listed here in one of these to help people get what they need. Sometimes when people do one of these, they're like, is it normal to feel all better now? And I'm like, yep. That's the point. Sometimes you just need to flush your body. I call it the cavalry charge from the rear. Go to the next one. Okay, so here's a cool picture of your colon. So when you're doing an enema, and why, like if you think about doing that boarding technique where you get your butt up in the air so that the stuff can go down and hang out, you're gonna, if you look at the picture, you're gonna go up in your colon where the 3 arrows are. And sometimes if you keep it long enough and you put it enough, it'll go all the way around the whole colon. It'll reach to your gallbladder, up into your liver. It'll touch all that. You see where it's touching? So if you put these things that are in the list, the previous list, in there, your bloodstream, as your heart beats and as your liver works, it takes about 4 minutes for your entire bloodstream to work through your liver. So it's all fresh because your liver's filtering it and doing a bunch of stuff that we don't know how to explain. So if you put in the medicine in this way, if you put in the support in this way, and it's going through your bloodstream, I tell people if you can hold something for 14 or 16 minutes, it's going through your whole body 4 times with that treatment. Then you go and you void, and if you have a really bad fever, it's going to come down when you void, because think about this, your core is emptying and you just put cool water in your core. See how cool that is? So this is all things that to me, it's like, well, God just made all these ways to do this that didn't include needles and didn't include hospitals and didn't include scientists. It just was grandma with the stuff in the kitchen, making her little concoction. My kids can do this, and they do. You can go to the next one. Okay, I love it when all my kids are sick at the same time, said no mom ever. I have had, I've got 9 kids. So we have had the throw up where the whole family was throwing up, even my husband. I was on a business trip in Florida. I felt really bad about that. So it's no fun when people are sick, and it's scary depending on how sick they get. And so you really have to pray, and you really have to be strong. And I tell people, like, now when everybody's kind of okay, this is when you read books like Be Your Own Doctor. This is when you read books like Backyard Pharmacy. This is when you read the magazines from Nutritional Frontiers. This is when you just stuff your brain with the stuff so that it's in there. And I call it, with my kids, I say it's like a file cabinet. Like, God will put the stuff in your head. And usually the best books to read are ones with stories, that teach through stories, because you'll remember the story of the kid that flew off the horse and hit their head on the ground and got a severe concussion, puking, all the things. And so you check their eyes to see if they're dilating and and you're like, oh no, they've got a concussion. And then you kind of watch them and you wait and see, because you don't want to be stupid. I don't think that we should never go to the hospital. I think they have a place, but I think we should hire them when we need them. We don't run to them for every little thing. So when people are sick, it's not a big hair on fire, oh no, oh my. You just calm down, see what everybody's body's trying to talk to you about. And you spend the time to love them. And you accept that sickness is in the house and don't freak out and bemoan it. And you believe in the power of the immune system. When all this stuff happened back in March, my phone was blowing up from all my clients freaking out about everything. You know, what do we do? Oh my goodness, what is this spirit? You're like chemical warfare, blah, blah, like freaking out. And so I just said, I wrote a big thing and said it to all my clients, was like, hey, remember, God made you with an immune system. You aren't powerless. You're not a victim of germs. Our bodies were made to fight germs. When the thing first happened, I didn't know if some Chinese people had sent it to us to kill us. Possibly, I don't know. But I don't know where it came from. So at first I was a little bit, what is this stuff? But I still believed I had an immune system. And even if it was some dastardly, naughty stuff, God could use my immune system to fight it off. And so we need to believe in the body's natural methods of systemic detox, cleansing, and immune building. So the body has those things in them. If we understand the body has them and we can stimulate them, that's what this enema thing is. It's like, my body is telling me something, I am going to really help it. And when I give it what it needs, my smart body, my smart liver, my smart bloodstream, my smart immune glands are going to go whoosh and kick back into gear, where they're like kind of waving a little white flag falling down because they're got a fever and it's too many germs to deal with. You know what I mean? So if you give your body what it needs, it's kind of exciting to watch what your body does when it heals. Go to the next one. Okay, all you need is love. It's really all you need. So we stop when people are sick. We had to learn to do this. We were used to piggybacking Tylenol and Advil with the little kids, and they felt great, right? And they acted fine, or they would get their blankie and watch Barney all day, and it was fine, right? It wasn't like scary because their fever had broken and they were fine. But was it really fine? Was I really building their body? Was I building their immune system? I wasn't. And I wasn't teaching them a healthy relationship with sickness, because sickness is part of our fallen world. And so you have to have a healthy perspective on it and not be afraid of it, and also not deny it. If your body is trying to tell you something, honor what your body is trying to tell you. And then another thing is, you might have to stop what you're doing so that you can minister to someone who's sick. So we like to stay with sick people. If they can, we try to put them on the couch in the room off from the busyness of the house, so they're not all alone. And so we always send somebody to hang out with them and read to them if they want, or get them a new cool cloth for their head, or make sure they have tea, make sure they have all their little protocol, because we will have had a protocol established for the person. Here's what they need every 15 minutes. Here's what they need every hour. Here's all the stuff they're drinking. Here's what they're eating if they feel hungry. You know what I mean? And here's when they need their next detox treatment. And so everybody in my family knows how to make all those things and take care of them, because love heals. And when we minister to each other, it's just a beautiful way to be in community. Next. Okay, faith over fear. So there's a verse here that says, through the fear of death, were all their lifetime subject to bondage. So it's talking about when the Israelites were in bondage because they were afraid of dying. People have always been afraid of death. It's a scary thing if you don't know what's going to happen to you when you die. And it's even scary for people who think you're just nothing and you just like nothing, or that we all came up out of the primordial goo and we are not really created and we weren't divinely designed. We're just goo that turned into this, and all the other goo turned into trees and giraffes and stuff. Is like so amazing. So if you don't know what's going on and how things were created and where things are going, it's really scary. But for us, if we have anxiety, even if it's great within us, like this other verse, God's consolation brings joy to our soul, brings peace to us. And we also have hope. So we used to be missionaries in a Muslim country, and there was a Muslim man who said to these other Muslims, like, you need to quit hanging out with those followers of Jesus, because all they have to do is pray for you and you might stop being a Muslim. And he also said, and they're not afraid of anything. Even if we threatened to kill them, they wouldn't be afraid. And that's true. That should be true of people who know Jesus. So we should go to the next one. So here's something cool that God made. He made our autonomic nervous system. He made this in us. And I think it's interesting because he made it before the fall, because everything he made in us was the way it was in us right before the fall happened, and sin and death and suffering and separation of God happened. So we've had a sympathetic and a parasympathetic nervous system created by God for our benefit. Something I think is really interesting with the technology and all the things we've pulled into our life, televisions, horror movies, really racy, crazy cartoons for little kids, really crazy, violent video games for little kids, lights on all the time, blue screens till 11 o'clock at night, or dinging by your bed while you're trying to sleep. All that stuff is very interestingly designed to put us in the sympathetic nervous system, which is a fight or flight response. So sometimes when I always have on my intake form, how much TV do you watch? What kind of TV do you watch? What do you do to relax? How stressed would you say your day-to-day life is? What the client usually does is they will unpack their own life and go, you know what? I actually impose a lot of stress on myself. Or I'll just question like their movie choices. Like, really, do you think that's helping you to watch like Freddy Krueger at 11 o'clock at night? I just would have to question that as being wise. That's not going to help your adrenals calm down. It's not going to help your melatonin kick in. It's not going to help you have sweet dreams, is it? It's going to make you go like for no reason, just because somebody's pretending something on your TV or your phone or whatever you're watching your thing on. So we can trigger it from things like that, but you can also trigger your sympathetic, which is your fight or flight response nervous system. You can trigger it by cruddy thinking, like I'm no good. Nobody loves me. I have to be perfect or else it's just not okay. Or what if I get sick because people aren't wearing their mask or whatever? So you can trip yourself out with that. When you do this, your cells actually close. Your cells are supposed to be like, yay, let's have fun. Let's just relax. Let's just do our thing. Let's just metabolize stuff. Let's just divide and let's die and be excreted out of the body, blah, blah. That's what they should be doing. In fight or flight, they're like, okay, we're on, we're going to go, we're going to fight, we're going to, oh my. And so circumstances and emotions can trigger it, like if you're having a fight with your husband, or if your kids just totally did that thing, or if your boss just said that again, or whatever. Blood flow moves away from your GI tract and from your skin. That's why people get pale sometimes. And so if it's moved away from your GI tract, how are you digesting food now? Mr. Popcorn, while you had Freddy Krueger movie, you're not going to be able to digest the popcorn, just saying. Like you can digest it very well anyway. Your heart rate and your blood pressure rise. Your cells shut down to prepare for fight or flight. And this can totally be triggered by internal images. And it's based on fear. So I always tell my clients, like, especially now, we have to be very mindful of what are we doing and what are we believing and what are we listening to that might be triggering fear. Whenever we have that kind of fear response, even if it's all day long, what that fear response should do is drive us to Christ and drive us maybe in fellowship with somebody else. Like, hey, I'm having a hard time. I need you to pray for me. Hey, I can't stop thinking this way. Can you pray for me? I give my clients documents of like how to replace stinking thinking with true thinking. I let them text me on another phone. It's my office assistant's phone. So she'll filter the text to me. But sometimes I'll get texts on the weekend. And if I really feel like somebody needs it, I will text them back on the weekend and love them and be in their ring. So that we can learn to engage the parasympathetic nervous system, which is how God designed us to be all the time. It's how we should be right now, listening to this little talk. All of our human cells are functioning normally. The digestion of food and blood flow and salivary glands are all working properly. The cells are open, so they're receiving oxygen. Disease cannot live in an oxygenated environment. If you close the cells, the oxygen can't get to them. The supplements can't get to them. The DMG and the CBD, nothing can get to them when you're stressed. So that's like really the bottom answer to why we are so sick in this country, I think. Is it because of our lifestyle that we're stressed? Or are we stressed and so that makes it's the chicken or the egg. The lifestyle is crazy and the stress is crazy. The food is crazy and the stress is crazy and the workload is crazy and the technology is crazy. So I think people just have to step back and reevaluate their lives. And I help my clients do that. I think it's a really powerful thing to do. This is where healing happens, and this is where deep sleep happens. And this is where peace happens. So you go to the next one. Okay, so faith over fear. We need to realize that fear eliminates our power to reason. So going back in our minds to the previous slide of the two moms, the little cartoon moms, there was a panicky, afraid mom, my kid is sick, my kid has a fever, oh no, what do I do? Like the fever is evil. There's the other mom going, oh, my kid has a fever, put them in bed, put a little thing on their head, bring them some soup and some supplements and sit down and read them a story. So she's able to reason. If my kids have a high enough fever, I'm like, ooh, we should probably do a detox for this one, don't you think? My kids will come and ask me for one. My kids will give themselves one. They're not afraid of fevers either. They're troubling and they're annoying and sometimes it ruins our plan to go on a hike, but it's not like it's an enemy. Now, fear is from the enemy, and this is something cool. My husband's been preaching on this whole topic for like a month. But evil men and leaders have always used fear to motivate and control the masses, always. And they say evil men and leaders will tell you they can get you to do anything if it's for your good and for your safety, okay? So please consider what I just said, and maybe other speakers you've heard this week, and our current national health crisis. It's more a mental health crisis, wouldn't you think, than a health crisis? Because our whole nation that watches CNN and whatever is living in petrified fear. And that's governing all of our health decisions and all of our decisions on policy and stuff like that. Next. Okay, I like this little picture of the lamb getting carried by the shepherd. He looks so cozy and comfortable and safe. And these are some really favorite verses of mine. I've not given you a spirit of fear, but of power, love, and discipline. There is no fear in love, but perfect love casts out fear, because fear has torment. He that fears is not made perfect in love. Fear not, be not afraid, do not be anxious for anything, abide in Jesus' love. Those are things that we just sort of rest in our house. We just rest there. That's how I try to help my clients rest. You can't rest if you're afraid, and you can't rest if you don't feel safe. You're going to try to do things to make yourself safe. That's where fight or flight comes from. We can go. Okay, so people who come to us, who come to natural health people, they're coming to learn maybe. I have some clients who come because they think it's so cool and indie and I want to be one too, or I want to learn this stuff so I can take better care of my kids. I do have some clients like that. I have a lot of clients who are coming to me because they are at the end of their resources. They will try anything because they've already tried everything and it didn't work. Something that's really interesting is I have a big intake form and I ask God to show me, like, can you show me what's going on with this person? And it's almost like God shines a flashlight right on the intake form or right in the person's face or right in something they say. And that's the issue. And it comes from God giving me insight. It's not like I'm so smart and I'm not practicing medicine. I'm just helping people unpack the layers and figure out what their deal is themselves. Figure out what they're willing to do to change their deal. Figure out what they're willing to stop and what they're willing to change so that they can grow and become who God wants them to be. So we need to know how to use the best supplements we can find. We need to know how to use them and how to counsel people on this would help your issue. We need to constantly be learners. There's always new stuff to learn, always, 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 and we should just be learners. I think most of my friends that are like my best friends in natural health are as nerdy and more nerdy than me. And I just call myself a nerd. My books on the side of my bed are like this deep, and it's all these nerdy books about enzymes and biology and blah, 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 MTHFR and who knows. In these uncertain times, it behooves us to learn all we can about what's growing right in our own woods and yards. We do have the ability to just walk around and pick stuff. Dr. Christopher, who's a famous herbalist, he died, I think, in the 70s, really neat guy. He had a job as a yard boy when he was a man with family. And he would mow the grass and pull the weeds and do this stuff. And he would keep all his stuff he picked, bring it home, set it on the counter, identify it, classify it, and then he'd start seeing clients. And then that stuff that was on his counter was what he was using to help his clients. And he would take them outside and show them where it was growing in their yard. It's pretty cool. And so he's got a lot of really good books that are super filled with wonderful things to know, wonderful things to understand. In this new season where we're homeschooling, you can decide what your kids learn. And this would be big on my list. None of my kids graduate without reading Be Your Own Doctor, Nourishing Traditions from cover to cover, Cultured Foods for Health, all this, like this whole health and wellness curriculum, that's their senior year. And they love it. They have to. And when they have to and they're reading it and they learn the common sense of it, they're in it with me. And I'm not bossing them around, chasing around. They own it. So remember that we are ministers to help others relate spiritually, emotionally, and physically. People don't connect that. A lot of times my clients come to me and they will have gone to doctors for 10 years and nobody ever asked them about their childhood. Nobody ever asked them about their marriage. Nobody ever asked them how it's going with their kids. Nobody ever asked them about stress in their life. And when they finally can deal with those things, they can get in that parasympathetic mode and they can rest like that little sheep that's so safe in the other picture and heal. So let's go to the next one. I think it's the last one, almost the last one. There is a friend who sticks closer than a brother. This is something, I can't really see what it says at the top. Abide in something, and can't read it. So you lead others to peace with God. You lead others to peace with themselves. You lead people to peace with their body. They need to understand how their body works. They need to have peace with their self-care. So you need to determine like where your people are so that you don't overwhelm them with self-care. Like, oh, you're going to dry brush and you're going to do hydrotherapy and you're going to do enemas and you're going to do all these supplements 3 times a day and you're going to do all this food and we're going to change everything you eat. Like you've got to just give them little bites so that they can be at peace with the self-care, and the actual self-care isn't a stress unless they're in really critical shape, and then they just have to jump in. And love is the greatest motivator and sustainer. So something that's really awesome with my clients is they'll come and most of the time they leave and they're going to cry. They want to hug. They feel loved, they feel supported, they feel understood, and they're motivated and they have hope. So at the end of the day, people in natural health, we are ambassadors of hope. It's powerful and it's an honor. So let's go to the next one. Help educate the client to understand how, through their emotions and false beliefs, they are holding themselves hostage and blocking their journey to health. That's not easy. Sometimes I'll say to someone like, look at everything and it's so obvious to me what their issue is, right? It's really easy to see the speck in someone else's eye, right? It's just so easy. And I'll say, do you struggle with bitterness possibly? And no, like they get really, no, I don't. And then you're going, oh, okay. So you like make a little note to kind of leave it and pray and maybe bring it up later. Or those people just go away because they don't want you going there. They want to stay in their bitterness and they want you to leave them alone. Some people, when you say, is there anything maybe with fear or anxiety that you struggle with? People who've got like really bad kidney issues or chronic kidney infections and chronic blah, blah, blah. Usually they're kind of a fear that they're not addressing that's at the bottom of why. And you say that, and if they're ready to deal with it, they cry and they're like, I do. And then you can kind of unpack it and go back in time and help them tell themselves the truth. Because usually what happens is in everyone, I don't say usually, everyone has lies in their personal narrative. We all do, because Satan is a liar and he wants to lie to everybody. And he wants all of us to believe lies. He wants us to believe lies about other people. He wants us to listen to lies all the time on the internet about everybody, like it's our business. And he wants to lie about us. And it even says in the Bible that he stands before the Father in heaven lying about us and accusing us to him day and night. Day and night, he's accusing us falsely. And that's not who we are. That's not who we are. Those lies aren't who we are, but they're so ingrained in the subconscious fibers of our brain that it's almost like we compulsively think these lies, we compulsively live in these lies, and we victimize ourselves. And we sabotage our life. We sabotage our health. We sabotage our marriages. We sabotage our jobs. We sabotage our relationship with our kids. It's awful. So the most powerful word God gave me a few years ago with my clients is this. It's in the next one. You are precious. You are loved. You are safe. And so many times when I've said that to people, they break down in a puddle because most people don't believe that they're precious and they're loved and they're safe. And everybody is. That's why there's all this chaos and all this craziness going on in the world right now, because people don't know that. And it's our honor and privilege to be a refuge for people that are coming in desperate need of help. We get to be like Jesus with skin on, helping people know they're precious, know they're loved, and know they're safe. That's an amazing calling. And so I'm humbled and blessed to do this and to share it with you, whoever you are watching this, because I'm praying that God will pay it forward and that people would believe it themselves, because we need to believe it ourselves about ourselves. And we need to be able to put it into our kids, put it into our husbands, put it into our friends and our colleagues and our clients. And if more people would do that, don't you think that God should change the world? I do. The end.
Wow. Awesome. As always, which is why I love to talk to you and, why you're my best friend. So I just want to go through a few things because I absolutely loved it all. And I want to make sure that we hit everybody's questions. You had mentioned a few books that you recommend. And could you just tell us the titles of those again?
Sure. I really like the Cultured Foods for Health. Culturesforhealth.com is a really cool, she's got a lot of videos just so that people can learn how to make their own probiotics and their own enzymes in a jar. You've got to learn how to do it yourself. So she's got maybe 6 books plus a big website. Another one I really like is Nourishing Traditions, because she takes each food group and she writes, it's not like a textbook for each area of food. And she tells how it got adulterated in industry and technology, and then how do you prepare it in a wholesome way that it's always been prepared. So my kids have to read that whole book. It's like the big book. I've never even read the whole thing. And
you make them read it.
And it changed our house. It changed our whole life. When my daughter read it, she slammed it shut and she said, we will never run out of sauerkraut again as long as I live in this house. And we never have.
Awesome.
And she makes everybody eat it. She makes everybody eat kraut before they can get up from the table. Like, did you, 7-year-old, did you have some, hey, 2-year-old grandbaby, did you have some? And the baby's dutifully eating her sauerkraut. So let's see. And then another one was Be Your Own Doctor, the Rachel Weaver series. She sadly just went away, but her book is phenomenal. Dr. Christopher has several books that he wrote.
I love his tinctures.
Remember Home Health Care, maybe, and the first aid. He's got a home health first aid book. Those are great. They're kind of like Be Your Own Doctor books where he's got it listed. His are more organized in alphabetical order, like, oh, I've got to find chicken pox. Here it is in the C's. I mean, so it's a really good tabletop resource.
Awesome. Well, Kim, how can people get a hold of you if they want to schedule a consult or just follow up for education or come to your farm for a retreat?
Oh, that's a good idea.
It's a good idea.
We do health retreats. It's super fun. Well, we love to do health retreats. Let me get the phone number. My daughter is in charge of my practice and she takes all my calls and everything. Her number is 434-259-1476. She was a daughter that kicked and screamed about sugar, and she read those books, and now she makes sauerkraut all the time, and she asked to be a certified nutrition therapist. So she's at that and helps me do what I do, like helps people eat right. Pretty cool.
Well, you have an amazing family and all of your kids, and you're spectacular. People love the talk. They love you. Thank you for coming back. Thank you for sharing your knowledge, and thank you for reminding us all who we are in Christ. It's really important to
Amen.
remember that. Yeah.
Well, love you, Tracy.
I love you too. All right, guys, stay tuned. We have Candy Clayton coming up next. She's going to teach us about rife therapy. So, all right, guys, have a good day.